welcome to a very exclusive and special interview. We are here at Ideas, the 12th edition of this International Defense Export Exhibition and Seminar. And this is, of course, something very, very important in terms of international collaborations and the age of industries in terms of the defense sector and the way that we are moving forward in terms of technology and innovation. And of course, whenever we talk about such an exhibition, it's very important to understand the role that key stakeholders play. And of course, Ideas brings them all together as part of what the organizers, including DEPO and the Ministry of Defense Production, have done so far in the many, many years that Ideas has continued. We have been able to get a lot of influencers and stakeholders involved in these discussions and the projection of industries and defense technologies. And so it is important also, of course, to highlight this international aspect and to understand the way that different presence of different countries enhances not just our own defense production, but also that of our collaborations with our partners. And so today, for an exclusive interview, I have with me the ex-president of the Turkish Defense Industries, is also the council chairperson of the Turkish Japanese Science and Technology University, and advisor to the Minister of Foreign Affairs of Turkey. And this is, of course, Professor Dr. Ismail Demir, who's with us. Thank you very much, Doctor, for joining us and being part of this very important platform, Ideas, and of course, giving us time for an exclusive interview as well. And I've been reading up on the kind of work that you've been able to accomplish. And it's very, very inspiring in terms of the way the different technologies and large-scale productions have been done under your supervision and leadership. And we've seen that as part of Pakistan-Turkiye's collaboration as well. You have the largest presence in Ideas this year as well. And we see the kind of effort and work that has gone into this strategic partnership. But I want your take first on what you think is the significance of platforms such as Ideas in order to bring different countries closer together, particularly when we talk about defense industries.
Yeah, Ideas and similar activities is a kind of meeting point of the interested parties. And one aspect is to present their capabilities, and the other aspect is to contact and to create some network. And in the past, mostly the exhibitors were having the idea to sell things and to the consuming countries, like such as Pakistan and Turkey and similar. And by the time, maybe 20 years, let me say, and gradually it started to change. Now the parties come in here and presenting things, and mostly it is a kind of meeting point for different parties and companies, researchers, government officials to meet, to exchange ideas, to see each other, and to just observe what is present and what is the development from the previous exhibition to the current one, and maybe last couple of years, etc. So it gives an idea where the industry is going and what kind of direction we can have our industry, our research and collaboration can steer, and also with whom we can collaborate and on what area until what degree. First, in the showcase, you can see the products and capabilities, then you can decide some of the things and then start negotiating in the company level or maybe higher level in the government authorities or company and government authorities. So this is a good medium for people to really extend their work and have a working network, and also maybe push forward some of the processes that have been going on in the past. So, at first glance, it must be seen that, everyone's coming here, a crowd, and what's going on, whether there's a benefit or not. But if you go back and look at the progress, and you can realize what's been going on. Actually, if you don't check that, it is just an activity, actually it's going to be waste.
Absolutely.
But if this check is there, if you see how the progress is going, it's going to be very valuable medium and environment.
Absolutely. You're so right, because we've seen a lot of these conferences and seminars happen. And the idea of actually following up on the commitments and the discussions, that is something that's very integral to the success of such a seminar and exhibition. And you're so right that it's important to put our resources and invest over there in that discussion. And I want to ask you then, particularly in terms of the way that the private sector and the public sector and the government can actually work together and synergize whatever their resources are, whatever their capabilities are. how important it is to align these particular needs, and how do you make all of these different stakeholders understand each other and work together, because synergy and collaboration is so important, and especially in large scale defense products, and in the way that we want to move forward. I want your take in terms of what it takes to actually have all the different stakeholders, including the policymakers, the regulators, the producers, the industries, together on the same page.
This is one of the key points of this, or maybe the most important point, because when we progress and go through discussions, especially for developing countries, and this is where all matter comes, and then we start discussing this, and there could be a lot of discussion. I remember several years ago, I come in here and discussing public-private partnership models in Pakistan, but many people can maybe present very similar ideas. Most of the time, what to be done is more or less very close to each other. However, execution is the critical part. And we know that, okay, universities, research institutes, and SMEs, small companies, and medium-sized companies, and government officials, and the users, they must come together, they must connect to each other, etc. Okay, these are very good theoretically. How to do this is we have to have mechanisms in place to activate this. And the most important factor here is the government. And what I phrase this, government should have its shadow on it, but not putting hands and holding things. So overseeing the things,
Facilitating,
and
not
facilitate,
creating roadblocks.
push, whenever it gets stuck, push it forward, but don't go and bluntly interfere things, and then don't claim that we are here, we are going to be doing everything, we are going to decide everything. So this is a blockage actually, and unfortunately in some cases this is kind of a mentality that some circles might have. Okay, how come a critical factor like defense industry go unchecked, or and how it's possible that we are not in the driving seat and we are not. Okay, you can oversee, you can give guidance, you can give suggestions, you can give incentives. However, don't get into this with full force. So this is quite critical. Of course, the facilitation factor comes with some incentives, financial incentives, and some kind of rights and taxes and things like that. But also, this should not be wasted. Waste is important. Many circles and many times you can give a lot of incentives, and in terms of, as I said, finance or things. But if it is wasted, if it's not followed, and it's not result oriented, and if you don't know this support here is going to give this result after this and this and this steps. So this must be very clear. This is where the government comes to picture. So this decision and roadmap should come from the government circles in collaboration with users and financiers and decision makers in the government and these sectors representatives. They must come together, and also the cutting edge technology comes from the science and applied science and technologies. So the source for this is maybe universities also and research institutes. How can we connect them to the real life? And I'm coming from academia as a background, and I had to do a lot of research, but those research items must see some kind of application. And in some cases, academicians will be very happy to do their research, to write their papers, get promotions, and maybe serving some branches of science, but not your immediate needs or future needs in your country. So this is going to be a waste of minds and brains. So you can take these bright brains, show them what you need, and I'm sure they're going to come up with some solutions to your problems. Connect the theory to the life, and make the interested parties to know what is needed, what is the gap, how can we close this gap, who is the best candidate to close the gap,
Yeah.
If there's no one available, make it available through some collaboration,
Yeah.
some kind of incentives, maybe sometimes direct procurement, then follow it with some kind of offset or technology transfer or joint collaboration kind of strategy. So these connections will not happen by itself. I make an example like you think about the gears rotating without touching to each other. So they can consume energy,
Yeah.
they can rotate, but at the end you cannot get kind of activity at the end. Everyone
There's no
just
real
in
benefit.
their own
Yeah.
medium, they're just rotating
Yeah.
without touching to each other.
Absolutely. That is so important. And I work a lot with academia as well. So I'm glad you raised that point, because we've seen, especially university-based students and startups in different tech parks, even in Pakistan and in different countries. And I've been to Turkey and their universities as well. The youth all over the world is so talented. They're making such brilliant solutions to our problems today. But the connect and to understand really what can we extract from them is very, very important. And I want your take on that, because it's an issue that I feel that different universities and entrepreneurs, aspiring entrepreneurs, face, is investment in R&D, because we see a lot of hesitancy in terms of both the private and the public sector, even the government, in putting their money in something that might not work. So what can we do, particularly for the defense sector, to improve R&D? And I know that, of course, different units have their own R&D, but how do we connect those with the work that universities are doing that can potentially help the defense sector? And how do we make people realize that putting their money in this R&D is going to help them in the future?
In most of the cases, if you go back and make some statistics to analyze where this research money goes, like you can give a lot of research support to the researchers, and for example, I've seen some cases 80% or more goes something called Death Valley. So you do something, you come up with something sometimes, and then it's not applied to anything anywhere. There's no product coming out of it, and it's just research for the sake of research. And so that means target-oriented research is a must. And who's going to show the target? Because you have to have, because we have all limited resources, and these resources must be spent in the best way possible. How can we do this? And we can look at our needs and the gaps, and so incentivize and initiate research activities toward a solution. And of course, research in its nature might have some unknowns, and some of them may not result something successful.
Absolutely.
And what I define is there is nothing called as unsuccessful research, because at the end of that activity, you learn something. That means this methodology, whatever has been done, is not working. Someone else who has not tried this yet did not know this. So you know
Failure
something.
is the best teacher.
You know something that the others did not know.
They don't.
But
That is true.
this target should be shown by people on the field, people who uses and who needs also follows the cutting edge technology and see where the world is going. And also where the future is going and what might be needed. Maybe some activities in the research level or academic level might result some other useful things. And you can find many examples that a research on certain area may be targeting something, but there are a lot of other things that researcher or that school of thought did not know much about it, and you can see that there's going so many other applications. So this is kind of a multi-area research will come out of this. So that means, since I said at the beginning, government, so this governance level should set up a country strategy and science strategy and identify the needs and the gaps so that they can give this picture to the all stakeholders. So they can align themselves towards a certain target, because we don't have any resource to be wasted, any energy to be wasted. This is very valuable. As you stated, youth is very challenging, and they are very active, very dynamic. At the early ages, we can direct their interest to the areas that really trigger their excitement and dynamism. And in Turkey, what we do, we for about 6 or 7 years, we have started something called Technofest. Like
Yeah.
we invite people from the age of 7 to 77.
Absolutely.
They come
No, I've
and they
been part
enjoy.
of it. It's excellent.
Yes.
Fantastic.
And this triggers a lot of
Yeah.
innovations and
Absolutely.
activities. And it is really
They're
curiosity.
amazing. It's inspiring, honestly, the work they do. But I want your input also as your role of the president of Turkish defense industry. So, how were you able to then influence and create impact in that particular role, not just in terms of the defense sector, but in terms of what we're talking about in terms of making the government stakeholders understand the importance of giving more room for people to play their part and for universities to be engaged and for academia to be engaged. Were you able to do that in your role as the president?
I guess we had done pretty significant things on that area.
Yeah.
And if you think about the pyramid, like the bottom line, the lower level is the grassroots industry and capabilities that you build up in the country.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be directly related to defense industry. If you have a very good manufacturing capabilities in different areas, machining capabilities, foundries, and all these things, so this is a basic industry.
It's going to contribute. Yeah.
It's going to contribute, and it is the basic things, and you can put layer by layer, and incentivizing the private sector is quite important because this is where the dynamism is.
Yeah.
And big structure, especially in defense industry, government start the things, and government own companies start the things, but slowly if they open up to the private sector, and they can have other parties get involved. For example, in our institute, defense industry, in every major contract, we put some obligations to the other side that they must give some certain percentage of the work to the private sector
Yeah.
and SMEs. This is a must.
That's very
We
important.
check it, and we see if also localization.
Okay.
So they must localize some of the features, and they must also invest some of the money in the contract to technology development. So there are certain
Excellent.
conditions. So this is a contract that you do your things. In the meantime, you embed some items in the contract,
Right.
forcing the contractee to steer the way to improve the technology and improve the private sector, improve the SMEs. This is a coordinated effort. That's what I meant. Oversee the things,
Yeah.
sometimes put a little bit force,
Facilitate. Yes.
also incentivize. For example, if I put an obligation in a contract that they must invest something new technology,
Yeah.
I know that it's going to cost something.
Yeah.
I just bear this cost. I allow them to put it into my contract as an extra, and this is kind of another way, indirect way of government support to the
Yeah.
industry.
Yeah.
And we have on us, we have research and development directorate. We had industrialization directorate. We had
Okay.
quality test and certification. These are the
And that's at the government level?
yeah, these were under SSP.
Okay.
So these are special units, especially incentivizing and also research projects, and also financing them, and evaluating them, and industrialization, or looking at the entire stakeholders and ecosystem, trying to find the gaps, fill the gaps, incentivize some of the companies to be encouraged to fill the gaps, and have a technopark, and have incubation centers in that, and some accelerators. Invite the investors to see what these incubators are doing, and whether they are interested to invest on some of them. So this connection is there. In the meantime, the companies and our institute have some model for higher education, like graduate level. If a worker or engineer in a defense industry company is going to do his master's or PhD, so we can connect the company
Okay.
and the university to make sure that this research is helping to
Yeah.
this company's business and also including some new ideas. So there are a lot of things that you have to go and bridge and connect the parties. And as I said, there is some kind of catalyst needed there. If and once this was understood,
Yeah.
then it's just the process start going by itself.
Yeah.
So you just pull yourself
Out of
or
it.
out a little bit,
Yeah.
and then just watch. And
Yeah.
if there is something going on, you can interfere.
Absolutely. That's such a great model. And I understand totally how it works because it's creating that enabling environment. But I also want your perspective on how do we sustain that in terms of the way that we see evolution now in technology, particularly when we talk about the way that we've seen things evolve in cybersecurity, things evolve in AI, robotics, automation. There is so much work happening. It's affecting all organizations, all sorts of ways in which we live, in which we function, and in the ways that defense is also, of course, carried out and conducted. And so I want your perspective on how relevant conventional warfare or technologies will be, the conventional approaches in this current evolving scenario, and how do we keep up with innovation in terms of especially AI impacting the way that we function now?
But there are two things. In one hand, we are running after some conventional technologies. We are trying to catch up.
Okay.
We are trying to have our indigenous tank, our
Yes.
indigenous submarine, and the engines of these, and the fighting systems, and missiles, and the basic. These are the technologies that are currently available, and we are trying to catch up.
Okay.
Okay, but in the meantime, things come in like the modern technologies and some future technologies. So while you are busy and investing to the conventional ones, if you miss the future,
Yeah.
then you'll be always behind.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And maybe some of the things that you are running after right now will be obsolete in the future.
Yeah.
So this is very critical thing that one should not miss.
Yeah.
And what I say, okay, if you walk on a road and trying to run and not to fall down any hole
Yeah.
without looking the horizon,
Yeah.
and you will miss. Okay,
Absolutely.
so we have to look at the horizon. In the meantime, we have to watch the holes and other obstacles.
Yeah.
And this is not an easy task. And also, modern technologies needs a lot of resources,
Yeah.
and resources are scarce. And this is, I guess, where the collaboration comes into picture. Like brotherly countries, friendly countries should come together. And there are so many areas in conventional technologies and as well as future technologies that needs investment and activities.
Yeah.
If one country try to invest and run after each one of them, and the resources will not be enough. So
Yeah.
that
You need to plan and strategize.
one, strategize and prioritize,
Mm.
also collaborate.
Yes.
And it is maybe a very smart way. Let's say a couple of countries come together.
Yeah.
Each one of them would select one area
Yeah.
that would prioritize and try to excel on this, and the other one. So that means each country will concentrate on one area,
Yeah.
but at the end they can combine their power, and
Yeah.
as the end result, these countries can be the best in those 3 or 4 areas. So this should be a very smart way.
Absolutely.
And also that it is very important to understand where things are going exact. Like when you talk about AI or cybersecurity and quantum technologies, these are kind of buzzwords
Yeah.
people use a lot.
Yeah. But they
But-
don't understand it.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
they don't understand. At least the expert
Yeah.
should go deep down
Absolutely.
and break it down.
Yeah.
When I say cybersecurity, what is the breakdown of it? What are the
Yeah.
technology breakdown? And
Yeah.
what are the areas? AI, what are the areas? What is the possibilities and opportunities and threats? How can you counter like every measure?
Yeah.
You should always think about the countermeasure. So AI will have a lot of advantages. How about disadvantages? Or if it is misused, how can you encounter this misuse? And the same thing for cybersecurity, digital technologies, and also human and AI interaction, or it's a kind of humanoids, and there are all these things coming, and at first glance they seem to be very scary sometimes, but we must steer our ways.
Yeah.
And any technology, any good thing, as we have seen in the past, will have some bad intention people using it the
Yes.
other way. So
Yes.
we have to look at the
The
balance.
regulation is so important in this
Yeah.
as well, and we're still struggling to figure it out.
Yes, yes, and we should train our young generation
Yeah.
to understand this, because I guess they are very good at understanding these
Yes.
than
They're
my
growing
generation,
up.
for example.
Yes.
So that
Same, mine too. So we are on the same page on that.
therefore it
But
is not an easy
they're
thing.
growing up in this age, so
Yes.
they understand it better, and
Yes.
which is why it's important for us to invest and extract that and utilize their ideas and potential.
But we shouldn't forget that world's
Yes.
a wild place. The conventional technologies are still active on the field.
And they're still relevant.
They are relevant,
still relevant.
and they are changing games, and they are
Yeah.
really hurting people sometimes, giving superiority.
Yeah.
So this balance should not be missed. I mean, if you just and go and look at all the horizons, what I say is, I have a kind of phrase used in
Okay.
Turkish. You should have dreams,
Yeah.
but you should not be a dreamer.
Okay.
Dreams, okay, is very important to guide you. And what does it mean to be not to be a dreamer? In order to reach your dreams, you must be very realistic.
Yeah.
Look at today,
Yeah.
what I should be doing today,
Yeah.
and
To
do
achieve
that
that
to
dream.
achieve this.
Yes.
If not,
Yeah.
I'm not doing anything. I'm just
Yeah.
dreaming, and
Yeah.
we are dreaming. We're not going
It's
to achieve
useless.
anything.
Absolutely.
So this is
That's absolutely important.
also, we should encourage our youth. And another slogan I use for in my seminars, that
Okay.
if there is something human made,
Yeah.
you can do it. You can do it better. I just what I say to the young people. Really, it is.
It's true though.
It's
It's true. Yeah, absolutely. And this is why it's important to invest in people, because then their leadership and their impact, their personalities, what they think, their intellect, that all contributes to how institutions work, to how we work with each other, and how countries work as well. And so I also want your perspective then on, you talked about how different countries can actually work on different areas and collaborate together. It's so hard to get 4 or 5 people in the same room and agree and work together. How do we make countries understand the importance? And especially if we talk about Pakistan and Turkiye, we have such a deep respect for each other. We have great brotherhood. We have great historical relations with the country. And so I want to understand, how do we capitalize on that? Are we using it to its true potential? What can we do more to enhance them? And how do we, particularly in the defense sector, evolve together?
And especially between Pakistan and Turkey, the historical relations and affection and brotherhood is so deep.
It is.
I can never say that the level of collaboration is enough to meet this kind of affection between two people, two
Absolutely.
countries. So in our official talks and meetings, I always emphasize this, and also it was really taken, accepted. Really, we talk, and we
Yeah.
talk very nicely, and we love each other. It is
Absolutely.
very true, and also it is really a tried friendship. So in the hard times, both parties showed each other how trustable each other. But in the action, sometimes action is not that easy,
Yeah.
and we must facilitate it.
Yeah.
And one of the main parameters, for most important one, is trust.
Yeah.
It is there.
Yeah.
So once it is there, we must be more open, and also, again, government's role come to picture here. From the government to government, we can sign things and the MOUs, etc. Execution of that, again,
That's important.
through the companies,
Yeah.
is important, because sometimes they may not understand the spirit
Yeah.
exactly, and they have their own financial and commercial interest in many things, and they must understand the depth of this relation, and also the benefits of
Yeah.
this relation. And the future collaboration will not bring any competition, it will bring collaboration and results. So
Yeah.
this is, you must steer the companies, the actual working on people working on the field, to tailor their collaboration. But it is human nature, like people would like to do things themselves and achieve, and then if you ask them to share, I mean, they can be a little bit jealous of it.
Absolutely.
So, but if you can show the real intention and what will be the outcome, also sustainability of the long-term projects. And really, this is a key factor. And sustainability is not going to come only by export and things, but collaboration, and also sharing the burden, also benefiting from the results. Both should go hand in hand. And really, it is quite important. And whatever emphasis we give on this, not only between Turkey and Pakistan, also other brother countries, is not enough. We have to push this process further. And as a summary, the level of collaboration can be much, or should be much better. I'm not saying it is not good. It is good. It is
absolutely good. You have the largest presence
but
here.
What I would love to see to
it grow more, and so would we. Likewise, of course, this is very important, not just in terms of our relationship with the country, but also how we want to proceed further and grow together. And so when we talk about the governments, of course, in the countries, we see that interaction. I also want to get your perspective on how we move forward in terms of different institutions in the private sector and people-to-people collaboration. And then how do we link that with the defense sector? Because you talked about earlier also involving the private sector in this conversation. But can the private sectors of different countries also align with these different needs? And especially when we talk about Pakistan and Turkey, how do we engage with the private sector in the current economic times as well and make it successful for them and for the people of both countries?
First of all, private sector, the investors, at the end of the day, they will look at the return.
Yeah.
And they must have a return. I mean, they don't have any money to waste.
Yeah.
And what will be the return? And in terms of volume and level of usage of any product for a single country may not be enough to make that return happen and make it sustainable.
Yeah.
So the market should be bigger in many cases. And in some very strategic cases, government can subsidize things, fine, it is okay, but it cannot continue forever.
Yeah.
And that means private sector at the end of the day will look at their profit. And you must find ways and means to create that profit for this private sector.
Yeah.
And also this means making them capable of addressing to the needs of many other parties. And one factor is when it comes to very critical strategic products.
Yeah.
And there will be always blockages in the world.
Yeah.
Especially today, we have seen what's been going on, and those approaches in different countries, especially Islamophobia, is really spreading.
Absolutely.
Like a disease. So that means our future, we have to build our future with our own hands.
Absolutely.
And this requires to understand that there are going to be many things, many products, many capabilities at some point in time may not be reachable for our countries. So when the private sector got involved in defense industry, it is a kind of customary for them to have a product and composed of many foreign parts. And at the end of it's a product, they can sell it, they can get.
Yes.
But as a government you should check them very carefully.
Yeah.
Make sure that it's not going to be blocked at some point in time, because they may not realize the danger of this foreign dependency. They might go after their own profit.
Yeah.
And they might provide some news, and today, maybe tomorrow, everything will go fine, but after tomorrow,
they'll
you might
out.
see the risk. So that means, again, the government interference and guidance will be there and still support the private industry, still make them have that product, but also, steer them towards indigenization. That I give the example of, checking the companies, incentivizing them, and towards some strategic products. So this is one way to incentivize and also guide them towards having more and more indigenous products. If necessary, subsidize them up to a certain point, then make sure that the volume will be enough to be used in other areas, sometimes with the multiple use, sometimes with having that technology to be used in different areas or collaboration with other countries, and also concentrating in through the collaboration each particular area in different countries so that we can have enough volume to support each other on that certain product and technology. Of course, government's money is very special, and government officials should use them very carefully.
It's sacred money. It's the people's money.
And that means incentives are must,
Absolutely.
but they must be used very smartly. And also, the private sector who is asking for some government support, they must realize that this is also very precious money, people's money.
Yeah.
I mean, if I owe you something, I can pay it, but if I owe to the public and thousands of people, it's a very big responsibility.
Absolutely, 100%. And I really hope that's something that we can truly achieve. But when we talk about expanding to the region as well and being a key regional player, both Turkey and Pakistan, of course, have their own geopolitical importance. And I want your perspective then in terms of defense collaborations and building this part of the world together and emerging as the leaders that we are. I want your perspective on how both these countries can move forward in collaboration with other key regional players and what kind of cooperation aspects exist for us to invest and explore together. Which avenues do you think are still unexplored in this region in particular, which we can do together as a region, as different countries coming together and working towards the progress of each other and truly emerging as a very important part of the world?
Currently, this work is going on. We have identified 5 or 6 or 7 countries that could closely collaborate, and there's a great potential in terms of human resources, in terms of willingness to spend and to invest, in terms of relations between the governments and people. So that means it's a great potential, and this great potential, on one hand, can work on conventional products and technologies.
Yes.
On the other hand, future ones, and there could be some flagship programs.
Yeah.
And important, very challenging, long term, maybe expensive, and these projects will be the flagship that will drive the collaboration as well as the technology, systems, and subsystems, because a flagship program will have many features in it, and you can distribute these features among these countries.
Yeah.
Each one of them can work one feature, and you can have maybe design or project office or program office to run this. So these programs by itself is a kind of catalyst or a force that would combine the efforts of different countries and put their people together, create a working culture and understanding each other. And we can talk days and months and years about the collaboration, but if you have a couple of flagship programs, joint programs among these countries, this is going to be best cement putting them together. Because actual work and the teamwork and support each other, understanding each other, seeing each other on the work. So this is going to be the major factor for collaboration. As I said, really, we have been talking and we have been discussing, we have been expressing good wishes, intentions, but the flagship programs is the key on current or conventional technologies. In the meantime, the basic research level, and in all these friendly countries, there are so many very brilliant, bright people working on different areas, and having an inventory like we have, for example, this in Turkey, that the inventory of academicians and researchers and their areas, and the inventory of people in the industry and companies, their capabilities, their potentials, etc., etc. If you put them together in a, let's say, database and analyze them and announce a couple of flagship programs, joint programs among these countries, and through this database distribute the work actual for conventional technologies and all for the future research work, and let those researchers to collaborate and come together and push their process together, and by this way, we can achieve a lot. It's going to be much better than signing things and then always having
Absolutely. And
good
then
wishes on the
shelving them
table.
and forget about it.
Exactly.
Absolutely. What about skill development, investing in the people and developing and training them to work as better individuals and to contribute more in the relevant sectors, and then obviously in terms of engaging the different expertise that different countries have and sharing that with each other? How will that exchange of information and skill development particularly happen?
Maybe overall education system and looking at them and trying to do something maybe is there for each country. Everyone is trying to do something.
Yes.
But maybe it is good to concentrate on some technology areas. How can we select the best people and also to direct them to specific areas? Very smart, brilliant people and a selection process, also guidance process for them. It is going to be really making a big impact
Yeah.
on advancement and also collaboration. I imagine some kind of special programs
Okay.
for these kind of people and putting them in sort of training program, maybe not what K to 12 education, but it is maybe
Short courses.
skill
Yeah.
hunting,
Yeah.
determine the skills through some systems
Yeah.
that is commonly used in many countries. Through this, have some joint technology centers or training centers to guide these people and make them to work together. And for example, it's a pity that if we attempt something like this, what language we are going to use? We are going to use English as now we are using, and maybe it could be much better if we can have a common language than other than
Absolutely.
that
Absolutely.
among ourselves.
Absolutely. I tried learning Turkish, honestly. I tried it for a bit. I went to Turkey and I tried it, and it's not that difficult, actually. A lot of the words are very
Yes,
similar.
yeah.
And so I've made it a plan to know it by next year. So if you come around again, I'll host this interview in Turkish, inshallah. But last question, Dr. Ismail, in terms of how we move forward and the future that we see. So we've already talked about how important and deep our connection is. The countries are very close together. We see the evolution of technology. We see the evolution of innovation, new ideas, and we want to be able to catch up with that and also grow locally and to invest in indigenization. And that's very important to both Turkey and Pakistan. And so I want your perspective then in terms of what the future holds and what sort of action plan or framework both Turkey and Pakistan should have to work together, and what aspects do we need to remember in order to truly capitalize on our relationship and the potential of defense industries and production?
I think it can start with the human resources exchange. I mean, I wish more and more students from both countries studying in each other's universities. And it's a good environment. I know many people will come from Pakistan and study in Turkish universities, and it should be vice versa. That means at the youth level, we can have a good connection. And then we can turn it to the research level afterwards. And understanding and knowing each other better is the first step.
Yes.
And targeting the same products and technologies is kind of time and money consuming. Maybe it is good to target different technologies if we are going individually or have some joint projects together, including some other countries. So this could be another way of collaboration, because nothing is better than going to the field and trying to do things together.
Absolutely.
In future, I think the entire education system should be reviewed and revised again.
100% agreed. We're on the
Uh,
same page. I totally believe
Yes, and so it is the work, job for
It's a
maybe
work for
new
the
generation,
future.
because all these things, because it is very easy to reach information. Like when I was doing my research years back,
Yeah.
in order to find one article, I used to go to lab. Maybe sometimes I used to spend a day. If it's not in that lab, I have to go to another library. So one
It was very
article
tough.
just 1 or 2 days.
Wow.
But you can reach that article today in 15 seconds, or 1 minute.
Absolutely.
That means information is reachable, but digesting it,
Yes.
people
That's
should
the
not be
real challenge.
lazy to
Yes,
digest it, and
absolutely.
also to have this kind of student-mentor relationship should be
Right.
there. But really, there are so many areas, so many specialized areas that we should direct people from K to 12 education system
Yeah.
is pouring the same thing on everybody.
Yeah.
And there are different people, different skill levels, different things, but we are trying to make them eat the same meal and for everybody.
Absolutely.
So this should be
Doesn't work.
changed,
Yeah.
tailored,
Yeah.
and it will take some time.
But we
At
have to
least,
start.
as I said, some technology areas we can just divide or cut that out and
Yeah.
make a
Yeah.
special project, and joint investments in both countries, or encouraging companies come together, form partnership. These are some of the suggestions that
Yeah.
I would make. Also, in order to attract foreign investment, you must be coming up with the very attractive ideas.
Yes.
So people can put forward the ideas.
Yeah.
Government can incentivize this up to a certain degree,
Yeah.
incubate this, maybe then we can attract
Absolutely.
the other people. Also, the resources
Yeah.
and energy and environment and materials. These are the things that we should see what we have in our
Absolutely.
ecosystem or in our countries. How can we best utilize this?
Absolutely. And in defense production, what can we do together?
There are current activities right now for the relations, but defense production, as I said, we should not repeat the same product, and we should really go on tracks that we can combine later on.
Yeah.
Right now, it's a bit we are repeating things.
Okay.
It is we kind of resource consuming.
Okay.
Of course, it is inevitable in some cases, but for the future projects, we must really find tracks. And as I said, my opinion, some flagship programs,
Right.
like for example our fifth generation fighter program, we are very open for Pakistan to join the program, and there is some level of collaboration right now, and this will trigger out of other activities. And there could be some other programs coming. And in terms of export market and commercializing the units and products, also creates sustainability.
Right.
And we have to find markets, and including our own consumption, plus some foreign markets, make a joint sales and activities like this, promotion and relations. This is going to create more and more collaboration, but it is maybe the best area
Right.
to start collaboration. That means the defense industry.
Absolutely. And we look forward to doing that. Tashaklar, Dr.
Thank you.
Ismail,
Thank you
for
very
joining us. I know that word at least.
Thank you.
Thank you for being with
Thank
us
you for
today. And thank you for being in Pakistan and being, of course, part of Ideas and sharing with us your very important views and how we can work together. And of course, Pakistan-Turkiye relationship is integral to the way that we want to move forward. And we are going to be taking such international collaborations as part of Ideas platform and moving forward with, of course, the way that we can put our resources and invest in the way that we want to move forward and engage with the relevant stakeholders. And of course, DEPO and the Ministry of Defense Production are playing a huge role in this regard. And we're happy to have our international collaborators and stakeholders over here to have this discussion and to understand how we can work together. And of course, you heard Dr. Ismail Demir speaking about just how we can actually achieve that. And we hope to do that in the future as well. That's all that we have from this exclusive interview. Thank you very much for watching.